Well, I've been at 2UE for a very long time, and this man, Garry Linnell, who you'll get to know over the next few weeks and next few months and next few years, he has run newspapers, TV newsrooms, he's written books. Why are you now doing radio?
It's fantastic. What a great medium to be working in. I've actually always been jealous of radio guys, because I've sat in newsrooms and I've been at the Daily Telegraph and I've been at the Sydney Morning Herald and out at Channel 9 over the years. And yet radio is the one medium where you get this instant response, and it's like you've just got this massive newsroom out there in Sydney. So it goes right out to the Blue Mountains, way down south, up north. Everyone's listening in, and as soon as something happens in their neighbourhood, they're on the phone and they're telling you about it. That's the greatest breaking news medium, and that's why I don't think radio hasn't suffered in all of the changes that have happened in the media over the last 10 years or so, all that fragmentation that's been taking place. Radio has been the one constant, and in fact radio listeners have actually grown. The audience has grown for commercial radio in the past 12 months.
So we're going to be on air from 5 o'clock in the morning. Anything that happens in Sydney... Yeah, 5. We're on air from 5.
Ooh.
Anything that happens in Sydney, we're going to be right across it, but we do want you to help us, because whenever anything happens in your own backyard, usually there's someone that knows about it before we do. So you let us know, we'll pass it on to everyone else.
And the other thing someone said to me the other day is that they said, "Oh, how are you going to cope with the early mornings? So you'll be up very early." And I said, that's not the point of it. The point is that what a privileged job you have, where you get to wake up with Sydney and tell them what's actually happening around the city and what's going to become important that day. And I mean, this is the biggest city in the country. It's the most influential city in the country, and it has the biggest and most influential audience out there. And our responsibility is to deliver that breaking news as it happens to them every morning.
Any people you really want to talk to in the first few months of the show?
I'd love to talk to Buzz Aldrin, because he's turning 84, second man on the moon.
Yep.
I met him very briefly in Canberra a couple of years ago, and to me, when I was growing up, when I was 5 or 6 years old and I was watching those Apollo astronauts walking on the moon, I always thought, that's the job that I want.
Yep. Here's something for you.
I never quite got there because I never really did very well at mathematics.
You know, you said you were watching those astronauts on the moon. I reckon we've all had the same experience, those in that broad ballpark.
Yeah. Baby
boomers. In all of our schools, they set up a little black and white TV in the assembly hall, and we all filed in there in 1969, and we all looked up, and there's this little patch of light, and we could hear some sort of noise going on. We really didn't see anything.
No, but I did. I was 5 years old, and my parents took me home. Took me out of school on July, I think it was July 21st, and they took me home, and I still remember that moment. I was 5 years old, and about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, on that fuzzy, that ghostly image, I was taken out of school because it was so important. That's why it's stuck in my memory. Really? And you can see this ghostly image of Armstrong stepping down, moving around slowly, and then Buzz slowly emerging later. And that's where I thought, I need to go there.
To the moon?
To the moon.
We're going to do a program from the moon.
That'd be a great OB.
Seriously?
Anyone who wants to sponsor that outside broadcast right now, give us a call now. 13 13 32.
Yeah, you mentioned obese, and then we need to get rid of. One of the things we want to try and do is get to the bottom of some of these acronyms that people are using. Like we talk about obese. Now you mentioned it's an outside broadcast, but now you've been working in management in a number of different areas, haven't you?
Yeah. Well,
KPIs.
All the
use of all these
key performance indicator.
That's right.
And I've only discovered that in the last couple of years because of the jobs I've had. But one of the things we want to do is debunk and demystify the language, because my belief is that right now there are people out there who think that they can control the flow of knowledge by using jargon and BS.
Well, no, they're stakeholders.
They're stakeholders, and we're going to reach out to them.
We're going to reach out to our stakeholders. We've got stakeholders in this...
I don't know, but I had a conversation with someone the other day, and instead of telling me that he'd rung a bloke, he said, I've reached out to him. And I said, well, was he 3 feet away from you or a metre away? And our whole world is being sort of camouflaged and disguised by this jargon. And it's up to us and everyone out there to help us run a war on it.
Should we have
that's the first campaign.
Should we have a jargon alert, though? So we have a little buzzer that goes off whenever any of that stuff appears on the show.
And whenever you and I fall into it as well.
And, well, okay. All right, so if listeners pick it up, they can ring us and say, you just broke your own rule.
Yeah, and I'll put in $10 to a charity every time I use a bit of jargon on air. See, have I got myself in a strife here?
That's not a bad one, actually. That's pretty good. $10, all right.
$10 in the jargon jar.
In the jargon jar, all right. Okay, the jargon jar, we're having it from Monday. Every time a bit of jargon. But what is jargon? What do you define as jargon?
It's more management speak, I think.
Because we could get into an argument over what is jargon and what is not.
We could, and I'm sure we'll have the odd disagreement, John.
What about a cliche jar as well? Because seriously, how do you know what's a cliche and what's not?
I don't know, but I reckon on Monday morning you'll be able to cut the air with a knife.
Oh, very good. Yeah,
that to me is a cliche. And you know what? Sometimes I think cliches are okay because they actually explain a sense and a feeling of an occasion or an issue. I think we can allow the odd cliche.
Hot knife through butter.
Yeah, like a hot knife through butter.
Okay, all right, we'll think about that one.
Or how about, it looks like two bald men fighting over a comb.
Yep. All right, that's a good one. That's not a cliche. It's a good one though, isn't it?
It's good. It's good. It's all right.
Terrific.
I like it.
All right.
We'll see you Monday morning at 5 o'clock.
Monday, yeah, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, remember? 5 o'clock, we're on air from 5. We're going to cover everything through to 8:30.
We're setting our alarms. You set your alarms.
And then Angela turns after us.
All right.